Welcome to Whispering Cabins, where we share cozy horror tales of ghosts, folklore, and forgotten places. So grab a blanket, light a candle, and settle in. The night is waiting. Tonight, we tell the story of the Hollow Crossing. It was late September when Nora decided to take the Ridgewood Trail, a winding path through the state forest, known for its fiery autumn foliage. She wasn't an experienced hiker, but the crisp air and the promise of solitude after a long work week pulled her deeper into the woods. The first hour was uneventful. The sun filtered through red and gold leaves, the crunch of her boots keeping rhythm with the steady hum of crickets. She stopped often, taking photos of mushrooms blooming like tiny lanterns and a hawk circling above. But as the trail dipped into a darker part of the forest, the mood shifted. The air grew heavy. The trees seemed closer together, leaning in like eavesdroppers. Nora checked her phone. No signal. A hush had fallen too, swallowing the sounds of birds and insects. It was then she saw it, a figure standing just off the trail. At first she thought it was another hiker, but the proportions were wrong. Its arms a little too long, its head tilted at an unnatural angle, as though it were listening to something far away. Its shape flickered slightly, as though she were looking at it through rippling water. Nora froze. The figure did not move. She told herself to keep walking, not to look directly at it, but curiosity forced her eyes back. In that instant, the figure lifted a hand and pointed to the ground in front of her. The earth split open in a faint shimmer, like heat rising from asphalt. Nora blinked, but the shimmer only spread, curling upward like a curtain being drawn aside. The forest beyond looked the same, but not quite. The colors were a shade too bright, the shadows a little too long. The trees whispered in a language that sounded almost like words. She felt herself step forward before she could stop. The air on the other side was damp, cooler. When she turned, the shimmer had closed behind her. The figure was gone. The path stretched ahead, eerily familiar, but when she checked her phone again, it was dead. The screen, black as stone. At first glance, the world seemed identical to the one she'd left. Leaves, trees, the winding trail. But the silence pressed in harder here, broken only by faint echoes. When she called out, "Hello?" Sound didn't carry naturally. Instead, it repeated back to her, delayed, as though someone were whispering the word, a few beats behind her own voice. Hours passed. She followed the trail, hoping to reach a road, a ranger station, anything. But every bend led only to more forest. Hunger gnawed at her stomach, but when she found berries, they crumbled to dust in her hand. Streams looked clear, yet the water slid away from her lips when she tried to drink. And then she saw them. A man and woman walking just ahead, their clothes torn and faded as if from decades of wear. Relieved, Nora hurried toward them, but the closer she got, the more she realized something was off. Their steps made no sound. Their heads turned slightly, in perfect unison, though they never acknowledged her. When she tried to touch the woman's shoulder, her hand passed through air. She stumbled back, her chest tightening. Ghosts? No. She could see their eyes, and those eyes were filled with the same desperate fear she felt herself. That was when she understood. They weren't ghosts. They were others like her. People who had stepped off the trail when the figure beckoned, drawn into this hollow reflection of the real world. Nora spent what felt like days wandering that warped forest. Time blurred. Shadows lengthened, though the sun never set. Sometimes she thought she saw the figure again, standing just beyond the trees, always still, always waiting. Other times she spotted more people. Lone hikers, pairs, even a small group of children, their faces pale, their movements slow. None spoke. None found the way back. At night, if it was night, the forest hummed with strange lullabies. The trees seemed to breathe, sighing in deep rhythm, and in her dreams, she saw her own apartment, her coffee mug on the counter, her bed neatly made. But she could never touch them, never open the door. Eventually, Nora stopped counting how long she had been there. The path always curved back on itself. Hunger faded. Thirst became an ache she learned to ignore. She walked alongside the silent others, caught in that endless loop of almost reality, waiting for more hikers to arrive. Sometimes, when the veil shimmered, she thought she could see the real forest again, the Ridgewood Trail, the golden leaves, the safe and ordinary world she had left behind. She would run toward it, but the shimmer would close before she reached it, sealing her in once more. And the figure would be there, watching, its head tilted, patient as ever. Nora understood now why the locals warned never to wander Ridgewood Trail alone in autumn. The forest was more than just trees. Somewhere between one world and the next, something waited, something that wanted company. If you ever find yourself on that trail and the woods fall silent, resist the urge to look. Don't follow the shimmer. Don't acknowledge the figure in the trees. Because once you step across, you'll never walk back. Thank you for joining us tonight at Whispering Cabins, where we tell cozy horror tales. If you enjoyed The Hollow Crossing, be sure to subscribe for more eerie stories. Until next time, keep warm, keep the lantern lit, and listen closely. Sometimes the shadows have stories to tell.